Yeah, so I'm going to start with the thing now. The first of all, we are going to start with the topic itself, okay?
Okay.
That is, obviously, you'll be knowing what is homeostasis, correct?
Yeah.
What is homeostasis?
Maintaining like the normal body like regulations, like the
Maintaining the internal chemical as well as the other environment or the temperature of the body altogether. Yes. So homeostasis actually maintaining the internal environment of the body of an organism, correct?
yeah.
Okay, homeostasis is further divided into two main compartments, correct? So
Yeah.
one is called osmoregulation and the second one thermoregulation. So thermo and osmoregulation, both of them, they all together, they are osmoregulation and thermoregulation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, thermoregulation. Okay, once obviously you are knowing osmoregulation. What is osmoregulation? Maintaining the chemical environment at a stable condition at one set point, and thermoregulation to regulate the body temperature, whether it is cold-blooded animal or warm-blooded animal. We know it already, yes. So they have to maintain according to their requirement.
So what's the difference between chemical temperature and like body temperature?
No, chemical temperature.
Yeah.
No. Osmoregulation is regulating the chemical environment.
Oh, like pH level?
It was a weird kind of question. What is chemical temperature? It looks so good question.
I thought you
So
said
actually, this,
temperature. That's why.
yeah, you listen. I think in the other way. Yes, something was not there from my end. Osmoregulation means chemical environment of the body. Like for example, in your blood should be maintained at a constant level. Yes, we regulate our concentration of glucose, water levels, salts. They have to be maintained at one set point. So if there is any increase or decrease, so it has to brought back again back to the normal. For example, for the glucose concentration, blood glucose concentration, so we have to maintain. Sometimes a person becomes hyperglycemic, and sometimes the person become hypoglycemic. Yes, so the body has to do this, like it has to bring the chemical environment, the concentration of glucose back to the normal level. So this is related with the chemical, correct? And this chemical kind of thing is normally it is controlled with the help of hormones or even with the help of some of the enzyme, but normally hormones are involved. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll be discussing this thing. And thermoregulation, obviously it is self-explanatory that you are regulating the temperature.
Yeah.
Okay, now once we are talking how this homeostasis is brought about, there are different kind of mechanisms. Okay, there are two kinds of mechanism. One is positive feedback mechanism, positive feedback mechanism, and obviously the second term is the negative one. Yes,
Yeah.
negative feedback mechanism. Negative feedback mechanism. Okay, now these two mechanisms are there. What do you think by the positive feedback mechanism?
You're amplifying the stimulus,
Mm-hmm.
and then negative feedback is you're trying to maintain like if something is going too far, you're trying to bring it back to normal. But positive, you want more of it.
Okay, now the amplification kind of thing is coming in positive feedback mechanism, correct?
Yeah.
And what is happening actually in simple words, if I define both of them, okay, what is positive feedback mechanism? Where the body is acting according to the stimulus. Please make note of this thing. Positive feedback mechanism where the body is acting according to the stimulus. If if the stimulus is actually if one thing is increasing, one variable is increasing, the other variable also respond in the same way, positive manner. I mean, normally once we are talking about a variable, yes, directly proportional and indirectly proportional, yes, or inversely proportional. So what is a positive feedback mechanism? For positive feedback mechanism is once one thing is increasing, the other thing is also increasing.
Okay.
I will give you the example. Simple example I will give you, and then I will get back to the same example that you are looking for, that in the childbirth and all. Okay.
Okay.
First simple example is, for example, if the adrenaline levels, they are increasing.
Yeah.
So adrenaline levels, they are increasing. What are the target organs for the adrenaline?
I'm not sure.
They are the target, or you know what is adrenaline, correct?
Yeah, it's like the exciting hormones, like excited.
Exciting. Yeah, very good, very good. So, or emergency hormone. Yes. So once the adrenaline is raised, so it is adrenaline rush. So target organ for the adrenaline, they are your heart and lungs, because your heartbeat increases. Moreover, your breathing rate also increases.
Yeah.
So there is a direct proportionality between the levels of adrenaline and heartbeat and the breathing rate. So when the adrenaline levels, they increase, the heartbeat and the breathing rate also increases. So this is positive correlation,
Okay.
positive feedback mechanism. Once one factor is increasing, the other two factors also, they tend to increase. So adrenaline levels, if they drop, the heartbeat and the breathing rate also drops down.
Okay.
Positive feedback mechanism. So I'm just giving you a simple example. You got it? Yes.
Yeah.
In negative feedback mechanism, body is actually working against the stimulus. Whatever the stimulus is being received, body is working against that stimulus. What if outside temperature, like we are talking about temperature, okay? If outside the temperature is higher, body will try, I'm talking about warm-blooded animals, correct?
Yeah.
So what happens if the outside temperature is higher, body will try to decrease the body temperature by sweating. Yes, temperature is high outside, it is being detected, and this message from the brain, the response from the brain comes to the mammary glands, or no, not mammary glands actually, what nonsense. It comes to the salivary glands, not the salivary gland also. What are those glands? Sweat glands, in fact. It comes to the sweat gland, start releasing sweat,
Yeah.
isn't it? So once outside the temperature is higher, it will be detected, it will be communicated with the brain. Brain will generate a response. What will be that response? This response will be given to the effector, which are glands, which are sweat glands, start releasing sweat. So body is working against the stimulus. Like outside temperature is higher, body is trying to reduce the temperature. Similarly, if the outside temperature is cold, then vice versa. Again, the same thing, body is trying to generate more heat, like we start to shiver. Correct? What is shivering? We are actually rubbing our muscles against each other to generate some kind of heat. Body is shivering in order to generate some kind of heat. Whether it is helpful or no, but this is a kind of adaptation made by the animals. Okay?
Yeah.
So now in this case, if outside the temperature it is lower, then now what will be the effector?
Inside.
Effectors are muscles,
Yeah.
isn't it? Effectors are, so there are two types of effectors. Either effector can be muscle or the glands. So in the first example, once outside temperature was there, then effectors were sweat glands. And if outside temperature is lower, now effectors are muscles, isn't it? So similarly, what is negative feedback mechanism in osmoregulation? Normally, we regulate our glucose concentration, blood glucose concentration, with the help of negative feedback mechanism.
So osmoregulation is negative feedback all the time?
No. I'm just giving you one. Not all the time the osmoregulation is negative. It can be positive also.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So chemicals, some of the chemicals, they trigger the effect of the other chemicals. So if I remember any kind of example, I will be sharing it instantly with you.
Okay.
Okay. So now you just remember, so you know what is negative feedback mechanism and what is positive feedback mechanism, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first, once we are talking about our nervous coordination, So in nervous coordination, there are nerves involved or neurons which are involved, correct?
Yeah.
And they are linked with our central nervous system. And from central nervous system, what is happening? Our response is being generated,
Yes.
correct? So now, what is happening now? If we are this, I will go into detail of the thermoregulation in a while, okay? Because you wanted like we have to go in how the thermoregulation takes place, okay? So there are few factors which actually we will be discussing it later on. I'm just contributing first on osmoregulation, and actually what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to go for the positive feedback mechanism at the beginning.
Okay, the childbirth,
Okay.
lactation.
Yeah, during childbirth. Okay, once we are talking about the childbirth, there are many examples for the negative feedback mechanism from the menstrual cycle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Different hormones, they actually affect the other hormone. So one is increasing, so other hormone start to decrease, isn't it? Like for example, once this one progesterone level they start to drop, FSH start to increase, negative feedback mechanism, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now we are talking about positive feedback mechanism where at the time of childbirth there are labor pains,
Contractions.
of course, contraction or uterus contraction. We call them, a normal name is labor pain. Labor pain is actually contraction of the uterus walls, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now what is the hormone which is involved in this, in creating these labor pains? This hormone, yeah, go ahead.
Oxytocin or something?
No, oxytocin.
Oxytocin.
Sorry?
I'm not sure. I know it's OXY something.
Yeah. Oxytocin.
Oxytocin, yeah.
Oxytocin, this is the hormone which is released by the pituitary gland, okay? It initiates the labor pain.
Hormone release
So,
when?
pituitary gland, you know the spelling for pituitary gland, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So pituitary gland is releasing the hormone which is oxytocin. Now, if we go with this, that thing actually I removed. Uh, what happens? I wanted to show you a picture, okay? Like, for example, one lady is there in the labor pain, okay?
Yeah.
Once the lady will be getting a labor pain, I don't know how to, but so labor pain started, yes? Uterus contraction started.
The stimulus?
This uterus contraction, I'm sorry?
The stimulus?
Stimulus is oxytocin, levels of oxytocins.
Like the
Blood concentration of oxytocin. Oxytocin. Okay, now your question will be, what will be the stimulus for oxytocin to be released, correct?
No, I just like for childbirth, what's a stimulus, what's a signal, and what's a response?
Yeah, that is why we are just trying to, I will just try. For example, blood in the blood, labor pain, the contraction of the, for example, the baby fetus is developing,
Yeah.
correct? So first thing, what will happen at the once that baby labor pain are going to start? What do you think? What will be the trigger? What will be the stimulus?
The baby.
Once the baby is fully mature, correct?
Yeah.
How the body will come to know that baby is fully mature now, mature enough. We are talking in terms of normal delivery, okay?
Yeah.
We are talking in terms of normal delivery. How the female or the body will come to know that now this is the time for the baby to be delivered. So there will be some of the growth hormones which will be released by the fetus. These growth hormones will become part of the mother's blood, and they will trigger the pituitary gland to start releasing oxytocin.
Yeah.
One. What can be the second factor?
The baby pushing on the uterus wall.
Okay, this can be also, look, okay, if we consider, okay, you know what I mean, I'm trying to get some kind of feedback from you. Yes, for example, this is the topic of a gynecologist, you know. Here, for example, these are the uterus walls. Yes,
Yeah.
baby pushes against the uterus wall. So this pressure, it will trigger the nerve impulse, and this nerve impulse will go to the brain, isn't it? Nerves will carry this message to the brain that baby is pushing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you cannot write this thing in, you know, correct? But I'm just giving you an example. So once this uterus walls are being pushed by the baby, correct?
Yeah.
So impulse will be generated. This will be communicated with the. But please remember one thing: is this push is always a trigger for the oxytocin?
No.
No, because baby keep on moving inside the mother. Once the baby is even 6, 7 months, it keep on jumping inside.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's mean this cannot be the only triggering factor, isn't it? The main factor that we have to consider, that is actually the release of the growth hormones. Once the baby is fully matured, how some of the growth hormones they will be released, and those hormones they will be actually triggering the pituitary gland of the mother to start releasing oxytocin. Once the baby, the fetus is fully developed.
Okay, because I sent you a picture of the diagram she gave.
Yeah,
And
please share it. Yes.
yeah, I just shared it. And she wants
Okay,
us.
just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I'm removing all this, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So now, just a minute. Yes, I'm talking again exactly the same thing now.
Yeah, I'm just
This is
like,
very simple kind. This is very simple kind of diagram that your teacher have provided. I'm going in detail actually.
oh, I don't think like I just have to like understand like the stimulus, the like
Yeah,
response.
so that is why I told you the stimulus. Yes, the stimulus is actually, you know what? This is we are talking about amplification of a stimulus, correct?
Yeah.
So technically, technically, once the first triggering is more important, the thing that I'm talking to you. For example, once the uterus wall they start to contract, correct?
Yeah.
Then once the stimulus is being generated, making that stimulus more to make this stimulus amplified, okay, that becomes very easy. Okay, for example, like it is not stable at one point actually. You remember that time also we were having problem with your picture. Yes, it was moving. So same thing is here. Now, actually the thing is, once this stimulus is being detected, yes, like it is pushing, the uterus wall, they start to contract and they push the fetus against the, obviously, for example, now the position of the baby is always toward the cervix, correct?
Yeah.
Baby's head, correct?
Yeah.
Head position of the baby is always towards the cervix, correct? So now the point is, once the head is actually hitting or pressing against the cervix walls or uterus walls, yes, so this trigger a nerve response that baby is pushing, is trying to go outside, correct?
Yeah.
This stimulus is through the nerve here. This is actually shared with the help of nerves here. It is shared in the form of nerves. Just 1 minute, I will be here. Look, from here, once this baby have started to push, uterus wall have pushed the baby here, correct?
Yeah.
At this point, this is the first, how this first push is happening. This is happening because of, once the growth hormones were released, they were picked up by the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland detected now the labor time is over, correct? Now it is the time for delivery. So pituitary gland will release oxytocin, correct? Oxytocin will put a pressure on, it will, the target organ for the oxytocin is what? Uterus walls. They will start to contract.
So is this the brain part, the signal?
No, that just wait. You will get everything. Just wait. You just listen to my statement, and obviously you understand.
Okay.
So now you understood. Yes, oxytocin released. So under the influence of the oxytocin, labor pain started. The uterus wall, uterine wall, they started to contract. Correct.
Yeah.
With a little release of oxytocin. Correct.
Okay.
So once the uterus wall, they will contract, as little pressure will be exerted on the cervix or against the walls of the uterus by the fetus, correct?
Yeah.
Now, the release of two, for you, you just have to remember, release, so oxytocin first, it is released in very low amount. Labor pain starts slowly, gradually it keep on increasing. The word that you have used very clearly, it amplification, yes?
Yeah.
So pain in the initial stages, it is less, and later on it keep on increasing, amplifying, and after that it becomes unbearable, correct?
Yeah.
So how does it happen? First, oxytocin, which was released in very low amount, okay, it triggered one, there is one word that we will be using, cascade of reaction. Cascade of reactions. So once the oxytocin was released, what was there? The uterine wall, they start to contract. Once the uterus wall, they contracted, there was a push against the walls of the uterus from the fetus, correct?
Yeah.
This pressure which was generated, it was communicated with the brain. It was communicated with the brain. A nerve message. This is a nerve message. And this is nerve message. Nerve impulse is moving here. Here, what is moving? It is chemical coordination. It is nervous coordination. Here, it is chemical coordination. You understand? The more the pressure it is exerted, the more forceful nerve impulse is generated. The more forceful nerve impulse will be generated, more oxytocin will be released. You understand?
Yeah.
Please remember, that is why we call it positive feedback mechanism. That if the pressure which is exerted by the fetus is less, a weaker nerve impulse will be reached to this brain. So less amount of oxytocin will be released.
And then if
Once this pressure keep on increasing, because the concentration, again it will increase, yes. So as the amount of oxytocin start to increase, the pressure on the uterus wall from the fetal also start to increase, correct?
Yeah.
So more stronger nerve impulse is generated. So it is amplification. More contraction of the uterus wall, more pressure. More pressure means more stronger nerve impulse. More stronger nerve impulse, more oxytocin will be released. Correct? So what is the role of the oxytocin? The target organ for the oxytocin is the uterus walls.
Okay.
Correct? So the this uterus wall, the more and more once the sometimes you have seen like some ladies, if you have heard, some of the female, they gave birth to a child, they could not reach to the hospital on time, and the lady gave birth to the kid within the car or taxi. Or have you heard of these kind of news? Very
No.
common.
Oh, really?
Which world you are living in actually? Yeah, so there are a number of cases like it happens like the labor pain started with the lady, correct?
Yeah.
So the family, they try to take her to the hospital. So it was delayed due to the traffic rush or some kind of traffic jam was there. So they could not reach to the hospital on this at the same time. Okay, and the baby was delivered on the way. It happens. So actually what is happening, well, this oxytocin, the contraction which is released, which is carried out by the oxytocin, yes, it is very, very high, correct? So this is amplification. So once the pressure of the fetus increase on the walls of the uterus near to the cervix, yes, so more oxytocin is released. So more, this is just like actually, we can say this is, you know, the peristaltic movement,
No.
peristalsis, the how the food travels in the digestive system. A tube is there, for this is the digestive system, yes, and this is the food now, for example. So it will, the tube will contract from behind and it will relax at the front. So food keep on moving to the forward direction, in this direction,
Yeah,
peristaltic movement.
sir, I'm just confused. I just want to know like what happens first in the cycle, and then what does it stimulate and what's the response? Like from all this three stuff, like what happens first that leads
So
to
first of all, what will happen, for example, the oxytocin which will be released by the female pituitary gland.
So is that the stimulus or is that the signal?
This will be the stimulus for the uterus wall to start contraction.
I thought that the
Okay, now look here. Now the next point is, now actually what actually triggered the oxytocin, correct?
yeah,
Obviously, once that I told you there can be number of multiple factors are there.
I know, but
Once there are two things are there. Look here, two things. Let's take two things. First of all, one is the fetus which is developing inside. Okay, it will be releasing growth hormones. Growth hormones, obviously, they are being produced, correct? So this is a communication between mother and the kid. Yes, fetus. So those growth hormones, if they go growth hormone, they will be shared with the female blood, correct? And those growth hormones, the level of those growth hormones, they will trigger the release of oxytocin. This is first. Second thing is, once the baby is fully developed, it will start to exert pressure on the cervix or uterus walls, because now it is fully developed, isn't it?
yeah,
It will try, the once the baby is fully developed, the baby will try to move out. It's natural.
yeah,
So once the baby, for example, if you keep the growth hormone aside, we are not talking about growth hormone, which I'm trying to tell you, correct?
yeah.
For example, the baby had it pressed against the uterus walls.
So the baby pushing against the cervix is a stimulus.
Yes, this is a stimulus. For example, this is a stimulus. Baby is trying to come out.
Okay, then hypothalamus releases oxytocin, is a signal being sent.
Yes.
And then uterine walls contract is a
No. Look here. The sequence you just remembered. Once the baby head is moving against the cervix walls, correct?
yeah.
This pressure will be picked up by the nerves. They will carry this message to the brain or the hypothalamus, correct?
Yeah.
What is the response? Brain will start releasing oxytocin.
I thought the signal is the hypothalamus releasing oxytocin.
Yeah. So actually the thing is, look, once the oxytocin is being released, what will happen?
Then you will contract. The uterine walls will contract.
The uterus wall will contract, correct?
That's the
For
response.
example, okay, now look here. Once we are talking about the hypothalamus, yes, you're talking about hypothalamus. Okay, we take it like hypothalamus itself. Okay, I remove the brain thingy out of this thing, correct?
Yeah. Sir, I'll just show
So
you what I'm talking about. Like this. I just have to label in childbirth what's what. Like stimulus.
you send me another picture, correct?
Yeah.
Just 1 minute. I'll be opening the other diagram again.
So you see how there's four.
Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I will be just opening it. Then we will talk about this. Okay. Just give me 1 minute only. Okay. Now the point is just a minute. Now the stimulus. Look here. Positive feedback mechanism. This is the only. So stimulus signal is sent. Response is. So that is the actually. You know what? This is very simple kind of explanation.
I know, I only need to know because we're not elaborating more. It's just this only. So I just need to know.
Okay, then if you need the simple one, the way we started, what was the stimulus? The stimulus was once the head of the baby was hitting the cervix walls, correct?
Yeah.
A signal was generated. This signal was communicated with the brain, or we are calling it hypothalamus, correct?
So then
once this, yeah, go ahead.
Signal is sent, meaning hypothalamus releases oxytocin?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually this is nerve signal, correct?
Yeah.
This is because nerves are carrying this the same thing which I was talking before. It is the same thing. Like once the head will hit against the cervix walls, yes, this pressure will be detected. It will be communicated with the hypothalamus, okay, in the brain. Once it is communicated with the hypothalamus, because now the hypothalamus get the message, the baby head is hitting the cervix, correct?
Yeah.
So now this message will be communicated with the hypothalamus. Under the influence of this, hypothalamus will start releasing oxytocin, okay?
So the response is releases
Response is release of oxytocin.
Okay.
Okay. Now next time, once the oxytocin will be released, what is the target organ for the oxytocin? Uterine wall, uterus walls, correct?
Yeah.
They will contract more. Once they will contract more, now again the head will hit the cervix. It will put more pressure on the cervix, correct?
Yeah.
Again, this signal will be picked up and it will be sent to the hypothalamus. Now more stronger pressure is exerted on the cervix, correct?
Yeah.
So hypothalamus will release again oxytocin in a little bit more amount.
Okay.
Okay. So we are talking in terms of this is the word that we have used, that is amplification.
Yeah. So that's all I needed.
Correct.
But yeah.
So yeah, amplification of two things are happening. Look, simultaneously amplification of two things is happening. First, amplification increase in the levels of oxytocin, and increase in the level of oxytocin result in generating more stronger signal from the cervix walls. More stronger, because stronger is the push. So gradually, once the oxytocin levels are increasing, the push against the walls also increasing, correct?
Yeah.
No, look here. Again, I will give you the example, which is, you remember, once the labor pain started, correct? For a lady, if immediately she is taken to the doctor, doctor will never operate. Doctor will say, still we need to develop a pressure. We have to wait for a pressure to be developed. There is a certain bottom line for the pressure of the uterus walls. It should be generated. So they will wait. How this pressure will be generated? Once the uterus wall, they will start to contract more and more. So it will take time. So for example, a lady approach a gynecologist now, but maybe the exact point of delivery will happen after 2 to 3 hours. Why? Because the uterus walls, they are not fully contracted. They are not generating enough kind of pressure. You understand? So this is known as amplification.
So the more the baby hits the cervix, the more contractions, which means positive feedback.
No, more forcefully, not more the baby, more forcefully.
Okay.
Yeah, because baby's head is actually pressing against. This is just like, once we are talking about the skin, pressure receptors are there. Some of the part of our skin, they are sensitive to very low pressures. Like, for example, if something touches with our fingertips, yes, they are highly sensitive. So a little pressure can be detected, okay? They're
Okay.
highly sensitive. But there are some of the pressure detectors which are buried deep inside your skin. So those can detect only and only strong pressures. So if, for example, if we touch someone at the neck area is actually very less sensitive. Correct? So
Yeah.
same is the case how I'm relating this thing. So actually what is happening in the cervix walls, the more forceful pressure will be generated by the head of the baby, more levels of oxytocin will be released.
Okay.
You got it? So more level concentration of oxytocin, more contraction, stronger contraction of uterus walls. More contraction of the uterus wall against, again, more pressure on. So it is building up. It is amplifying. Gradually it is amplifying.
Okay.
That's all. So
So,
the thing that you are asking, this is very, very, peripheral kind of thing. So if you need only this information, we are done.
okay. So the learning objective, describe the positive and negative feedback mechanism.
Mechanism. Yes.
So then do I
So
say
how you, yeah.
like positive mechanisms ensure that the stimulus is being amplified while negative is trying to um work against the stimulus.
Correct. That's okay. The stimulus which was high temperature outside, so body is trying to work against that stimulus. Outside temperature is higher, so body will try to reduce it.
Yeah. So
So
then
body is acting against the stimulus.
yeah. So explain how negative feedback helps to maintain homeostasis. It
That we will be discussing. Now you understood this part.
yeah.
This positive feedback mechanism, how the signal is being amplified. This, how the signal is being amplified. If you understood this, then I'm moving. So how it is amplifying, because the reason is more the oxytocin, more pressure it is exerted, so more stronger signal is generated.
Okay.
More stronger signal generated, the response will be more stronger, like more oxytocin. So it keep on. So signal is keep on increasing. Signal is what? More pressure. I'm feeling more pressure, more pressure, more. So this signal is from cervix walls that I'm feeling more pressure, more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. So this signal is generating, this communication is done between hypothalamus and the cervix walls that my pressure is increasing. So this is amplifying, that's all.
Okay.
Once we are talking about the negative, coming back to your negative feedback mechanism, yes? Now positive is over.
Yeah.
Amplification you understood, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, now we are coming back to your thing, which is actually negative feedback mechanism. What was your question?
Um. Explain how negative feedback helps to maintain. Oh no, we already know that. Like it maintains homeostasis by maintaining the internal environment inside.
How? Give me the example.
By, for example, if the temperature is colder out,
No,
is
Osmo, no. This is Osmo regulation. Excuse me. You are giving the example of thermoregulation.
osmoregulation. Actually, could we actually go over? I'll send you a picture of hormonal control of glucose.
Yeah,
I'll
correct.
send you a picture.
Okay, now look. This is hormonal control of the glucose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me. I don't know. Mean why this happens only once I'm doing it like this. Okay, let's see. I will be just displaying it from my side. Okay. Uh, yeah. Now look, if we see it here, Now, once the glucose levels are increased, correct?
Yeah.
Now, there are 2 or 3 terms that we have to know. First term is what? Hypoglycemic and hyperglycemic, correct?
What does that mean?
Okay, this is hyperglycemic. Hyperglycemic mean once the glucose levels are more than the normal. Hyper. When the glucose and hypoglycemic, glycemic. And hypo means when the glucose levels are lower than the normal, than the required one.
Okay.
These are the 2 terms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for example, normally what happens once we eat food, our blood glucose concentration becomes hyperglycemic. Blood glucose level increases, correct?
Yeah.
What will happen now? Obviously, because we are good, once the blood glucose level they increase, body will try to decrease it, isn't it? Because it is hyperglycemic, so body is trying to decrease the levels of blood sugar, correct?
Yeah.
Which hormone body will be releasing to decrease the blood sugar?
Insulin?
Insulin. Shabash. Now you know it. Yes, insulin. Insulin will be released, correct? Insulin will be reducing blood sugar level from high to low, correct?
Yeah.
Now, if I ask you, does insulin convert the glucose? Once the glucose levels are higher, so extra glucose is stored where? In muscles and liver. Yes?
Yeah.
You know this part. Please make note of this thing. This is very, very important part. Extra glucose is stored in the liver and muscles in the form of glycogen. You know this part, yes?
Yeah.
I'm writing it here now. Here it is. I'm writing this glycogen here, this part. What is glycogen?
Stored glucose.
Stored glucose, yeah, or it is a polymer of glucose, correct?
Yeah.
And what is the second hormone which is involved in the blood glucose level control? Glucagon.
Glycogen?
No. There are 2 hormones. I wrote, that is why I wrote them with different colors. So you don't have any kind of confusion. Look,
Glucogen.
one is insulin and then is glucagon.
Oh.
Glucagon.
Okay.
Please make note of this thing, okay? Insulin and glucagon, these are the 2 hormones which are released by the pancreas. Please make note of this.
Okay.
Then the substances that we are referring to, there are 2 substances. One substance is known as glucose and the other substance is known as glycogen. Yes?
Yeah.
Glucose and glycogen. Yes, these are the 2 substances. Correct? Now here we have 2 substances, glucose and glycogen, and we have 2 hormones which are insulin and glucagon. Correct?
Yeah.
Then we have 2 organs. One is liver and the second one is muscles.
Yeah.
Correct? Now combination of 2 and 2. Yes? Insulin is actually released to, what is the function of the insulin? It will convert glucose into glycogen. Because insulin reduces blood sugar, correct?
So convert glucose.
No, please don't write this. This is insulin reduces the blood sugar level, correct?
Reduces blood sugar.
The blood sugar level.
Oh, and so by reducing the blood sugar, it has to take it out of the bloodstream. That's why it converts it to glycogen, because then glycogen has it in the liver and muscles, not the bloodstream.
You know what? You wrote my statement first.
Yeah.
Then I will be asking you to give your inputs also. You know what? Because there is some kind of confusion is there. So I just want to minimize that stuff from your part.
Okay.
Okay. So you know already that insulin is responsible to reduce blood sugar, correct? This statement, you just write this statement exactly, correct? You wrote it. Insulin reduces blood sugar, correct?
Yeah.
So if a person is hyperglycemic, the body will be releasing insulin. Why? To bring it down to the normal, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the function of the glucagon?
Glucagon is maybe to increase the glucose levels.
Yes, increase in. So what is the function of the glucagon then? It is responsible to convert, okay? It controls, not convert actually, it controls the conversion of, before also, insulin is responsible to control the blood sugar level, to control the conversion of glucose into glycogen. You will be using the word control, not convert, okay?
Okay.
So glucagon is responsible to control the conversion of glycogen back into glucose.
Okay.
Please make note of this thing. Once you are done, then I think within 5 minutes we'll be learning all this.
Yeah, now I know.
Okay. Now there are two things I told you. One is hyperglycemia. What is the role of the insulin? Insulin controls the conversion of glucose into glycogen. So insulin technically it is reducing the blood glucose level, correct?
Yeah.
Glucagon is responsible to control the conversion of glycogen back into glucose. So in another word, you can say glucagon is responsible to increase the blood glucose levels, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in hyperglycemic condition, it is there on the top now. In this condition, okay, which hormone will be released out of these two when the glucose levels are higher?
Insulin.
Insulin. Once the glucose levels are lower in the body, then which hormone will be released?
Glucagon.
Glucagon, correct? No, now you understood. Yes. Now, I use the word very carefully that insulin and glucagon control the conversion of one molecule into another, correct?
Yeah.
What are the organs which are responsible to convert glucose into glycogen or glycogen back into glucose? Liver and muscles.
Yes.
Please make note of this. So actually, liver and muscles, they will convert either glucose into glycogen or glycogen back into glucose.
Because glycogen is stored in the two organs.
Yeah, obviously, mean extra glucose is stored in liver and muscles, yes, in the form of glycogen.
Yeah.
Yeah, now this is, you understood this part?
Yeah.
Okay, now there is a part where actually you should be knowing now. What will be the, no, actually, you know, this osmoregulation of glucose concentration or blood glucose concentration is the method of negative feedback mechanism, correct?
Yeah, because you're trying to maintain the...
Reduce. Once it is hyperglycemic, body is trying to reduce this by producing insulin, correct?
Yeah.
And once the levels of glucose are lower, then body is trying to increase the blood glucose concentration by releasing glucagon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Negative feedback mechanism. Now you tell me, what are the target organs for the insulin or glucagon? Liver and muscle. Very good. Yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
How the liver and muscles, they detect that now we have to convert glucose into glycogen or glycogen back into glucose. How they will get this signal? What is the stimulus for the liver and muscles?
The increase...
Please make note of this. The stimulus for the liver and muscle will be what?
The increase or decrease of glucose levels in the bloodstream.
No.
Oh.
That is what. The stimulus for the liver and muscle is the level or the concentration of insulin or glucagon. Concentration of insulin or the glucagon, they are the stimulus for the liver and muscles, okay, to perform their function. If the insulin levels are higher in the blood, then this is a message for the liver and muscle, start converting glucose into glycogen. Yeah. If in the blood glucagon levels are higher, this is a message for liver and muscles, start converting glycogen back into glucose because there is a shortage of glucose in the blood.
Okay, so then
please make note of this.
This conversion from glycogen to glucose or glucose to glycogen is the response.
Is a response, yes. This is the response which is generated by, what was the stimulus? Stimulus was the concentration of insulin or glucagon for the liver and muscles, yes?
So then what's the signal?
The signal is levels of insulin and glucagon for the liver and muscle. Concentration of insulin and glucagon in the blood, these are the stimulus for liver and muscles.
But if this is a stimulus, then how can this
Yes.
the signal and
The response will be accordingly. For example, if the stimulus is high levels of insulin, yes.
yeah.
So what is the response? Just now you told. So liver and muscle, they will start converting glucose into glycogen. This is the response. Then they will start to store it.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah.
One part is answered. Okay?
So I sent you a
No, the second part is remaining. Second part is remaining. Just 1 minute. The second part is remaining now. So levels of insulin and glucagon, or concentration of insulin or glucagon, they are the stimulus for liver and muscles, correct?
Yes.
Now, who is releasing insulin and glucagon?
Pancreas.
Pancreas releasing. What is the stimulus for the pancreas to release insulin or glucagon?
Glucose levels in the bloodstream.
Shabash. If the glucose levels in the blood, they are higher, this is a stimulus. It will be detected by the pancreas. So pancreas will generate a response by producing insulin.
Okay.
Correct? And if the glucose levels are lower in the blood, it is a stimulus. Okay, it will be detected by the pancreas. What will be the response now? Pancreas will be releasing glucagon.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm just finish this part, correct?
Yeah.
Everything you can answer now from this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the last thing which is there, the thermoregulation. Do you have any picture of the thermoregulation, or I have to tell you on my own?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, please send me the thermoregulation picture.
Thermoregulation, I think I understand more than others.
You know, okay, just share. So I will be just, you know what I mean? There is no point, like 2 or 3 minutes are there. So if we spend 2 or 3 minutes more,
Okay.
so you know, in Arabic we call it, I'm making my money halal.
Sure.
So you just give me the picture. You send me the picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, they are not talking about the structure and all. Yes.
What do you mean?
Means structure of the skin structure and all. You don't require that part, correct?
No.
Okay, good. So what we are going to do, like for example, in the thermoregulation, what are the things which are happening? The body temperature is detected. So what is the stimulus?
Stimulus.
External environment.
External environment.
This stimulus will be detected by?
The glands.
No, detected by the sense organs or skin. Skin will be detecting, or in the skin there are heat receptors or cold receptors, isn't it?
Yeah.
So our skin is sensitive to the external temperature. Skin will give this information: outside temperature is low or outside temperature is higher.
Okay.
So stimulus, so they are our sensory organs, correct? They will detect the stimulus and they will communicate it with the brain.
Yeah.
Or hypothalamus, correct?
Yeah.
And then brain will generate the response. That response, I already told you, if it is outside, if the temperature is higher, the response will be given to the effector. Which one? Sweat gland.
Yeah.
And if outside temperature is lower, the response will be delivered to the muscles, isn't it? Effectors.
Yeah, so that's the response.
Once it will be so shivering and all this thing will happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you did you discuss about what are the things which are happening? Vasodilation and vasoconstriction, the blood vessels, how they modify themselves?
Yeah, a little bit. So if it's constricted, then that means the temperature is too cold. So then they're trying to make it like trying to be
Yeah,
warm.
no. That I'll explain it to you. No, just 1 minute, okay? You know, the body, you know, vasoconstriction and vasodilation, isn't it?
A little bit.
Okay. Constriction means once the blood vessels, they become narrower.
Yeah.
Correct? Vasodilation, once the blood vessels, they become wider, isn't it? They become broader.
Yeah.
In extremely hot conditions, outside temperature is very high. Correct? So there is vasoconstriction. Please, this you have to remember now, okay? I will start with the example of low temperature. So you will be better to understand this point, because then it will become easier for me also. Look here, if outside the temperature is very low, yes?
Yeah.
If you have observed, have you ever seen cold temperatures like minus? Have you ever experienced any
Yeah.
time in your life?
Yeah.
-1, -2?
A little bit.
Okay, so if we are under extremely cold condition, our skin becomes yellow, pale, nothing. Hence, the vasoconstriction takes place in that skin area. No blood or very, very less blood is supplied to your hand area. Why? Because it is exposed to the environment. External environment is very, very cold. So if the blood goes into the skin area, there the body will lose heat through blood, isn't it? To the external environment. So vasoconstriction takes place inside or outside the skin areas. So they become totally pale, no blood.
No blood,
But
if they transfer the blood,
because
then what happens?
yeah, blood is taking the heat also, isn't it? Our blood is having heat
Yeah.
because our body temperature is from 37, correct? If that 37 degrees Celsius temperature blood will go into our skin area, outside temperature is -2 or 3 or 4, yes? So obviously heat will move out. So that is why vasoconstriction take place in the skin area. But this you have to remember, in the body, once in one area vasoconstriction is taking place, the opposite happening in the other parts. So in our skin area, vasoconstriction is taking place, correct?
Yeah.
But our internal organ, especially to the brain, there is vasodilation. Most of the blood goes into the brain. Why? Because blood is having heat. So outside, because it is extremely cold, so mind, the main vital organs, they are supplied with vasodilation. The more blood supply is given to them, especially the brain.
Oh, is that why in vasodilation, when the temperature is too hot outside, people pass out because there's not enough blood to the brain because opposite?
Yes, it is the opposite. Why? Because normally, sometimes we can say like once there is very extremely hot outside, we start to do some silly things which normally we don't do. Why? Because at that time, because there is vasoconstriction in the brain area. Yes, once the outside temperature is higher.
Yeah.
Once the outside temperature is higher, more blood supply is given to your skin as compared to the internal organs, especially brain. So less blood is going to the brain. Why? Because blood outside already it is very hot. If more temperature goes into the brain, there is a chance of enzyme denaturing. So that is why supply of the blood decreases to the brain, correct?
Yeah.
So that is why we behave dumb when we are under extremely hot conditions.
Oh.
Not always, but to some extent. Why? Because blood supply is reduced into the into the brain area.
Yeah.
We are done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and one more thing is there, like the body here, they raise or you fall down. You know this part, yes?
Yeah.
Goosebumps and all, yes.
Yeah.
Goosebumps happen one in cold or hot conditions.
Goosebumps and cold. Oh, it's
Cold.
cold
Yes,
because
it is cold. Yes, normally it is cold, but sometimes it is under the influence of excitement also. Yes,
yeah.
when you are extremely excited, it is adrenaline rush. That time also. But normally, if we are talking about temperature, it is about cold.
Yeah.
You can explain this part. Yes.
Yeah.
We are done with the class. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you just send me this recording also?
Yeah, sure.